finding your community as a writer. And what I mean is just finding like-minded people who are writers themselves or working in other creative fields, and very importantly, people that might be interested in reading your work, because we'd all like to have some readers, we'd all like an audience. I have a little list here. I kind of go through them, see what thoughts pop up. Classes, creative writing classes. I think that the thing that has I've most benefited from creative writing classes is just to be able to see my work alongside that of other writers. And I think that's a sort of reality check to get a sense that is is the quality that I think I'm I'm creating, is it really there? Um, I mean, I think that we all have, I assume, a fair amount of doubt in what it is we're doing. I certainly do. So it's nice to be able to be able to hold a mirror up to your work. And also have on the next thing is workshops. And there's a lot of them out there. Sometimes they're very, very specific. And I think you can always learn something from them, but they can also be a real time suck and a money suck too. Um, the most recent workshop I was involved in came out of a theater company that had an online um, workshop called Finish the Thing, I think. And it was kind of like this sort of brainstorming, a series of brainstorming sessions to sort of inspire and or sort of look at different ways to just start with an idea and open it up and sort of explore and examine it. And it was fun, I suppose. But what I will say is, out of that workshop that was last year, perhaps, was the idea that gave life to my current novel that I guess I'm on the third draft now. I like it, and it would not have happened had I not been in that workshop and came up with some ideas. The ideas that I came up with in that workshop so do not resemble the work as it is right now, but that's the nature of a lot of creative work, I suppose. So, hey, finish that thing. I'm working on it. I'm close to finished. Um, Writing groups. And I think this is one of the things that makes writing classes and writing workshops useful, because you can network with or befriend some of your fellow classmates or attendees and create an ongoing writing group. There's a writing group that I belong to that it's always been pretty small. I don't think we ever have had more than 5 people in it. We have 3 core members, and it's been going on for like 5 years or so, and it is really useful because you share your work with one another and you get feedback from people you know. And there's some things that each individual can help you with that other people just wouldn't notice. And you know that about them because you've been exchanging critiques with them for quite a while. And so, yeah, my writing group has seen the various drafts of, I guess, 5 novels or so and quite a few short stories, and helped me polish those projects. Very valuable. Also on my list here is open mic events. I know a lot of writers are very introverted and shy and might be adverse to hopping up on stage, grabbing a microphone, and reciting or reading their work. I understand that, but there's nothing like, from my experience, there's nothing like having that immediate reaction to an audience. Um, and it's a really good way to sort of test out, particularly short pieces, because nobody wants you up there hogging the mic for more than 10 minutes. Some of these sort of open mic events have very specific times, and sometimes they're short, like 5 minutes, which is fine because then you can go to these things planning ahead. You know what your time length is, so you craft a piece of writing that will fit. So practice, rehearse, find out how long it takes you to read it, get it down. You want to be invited back again. You don't want to be the pariah of the open mic events. Um, so there's other sort of similar literary events. There's salons, book festivals, um, programs at the local libraries. And I'm not just pulling things out of the air because I've been to a few literary salons where they, or the ones that are sort of encouraging all sorts of creativity. People might play a piece of music, they might share some writing, they might do a theater piece, and there are always a lot of fun filled with an enormous amount of insight um, into where to get ideas and but personally, I'm I'm a real process fanatic. I love to learn about other artists' creative processes, and being in a situation like some sort of artsy salon where people are talking about their work in a very casual way, or sharing some of it, even if they're not overtly talking about how they go about making their work, you're probably going to get a pretty good insight into it. Um, and then there's um, online um, communities, and this seems like it should be the easiest thing to navigate. And from my experience, it isn't. It could be that I'm not looking in the right place. I spend a fair amount of time on Reddit in some of the writing subreddits. Um, they can get a little petty and just exhausting. But sometimes you get one piece of information out of some long thread of bitching exchanges, and it can open up a world of other possibilities. It can point you in the direction of maybe some other sort of online resource or community. Facebook. I don't even know how many Facebook writing groups I've followed. They're almost. I've yet to find one that I don't just eventually unfollow. But I do like Facebook as a social media platform for um, literary events, just to remind me that something's coming up, or to bring my attention to something I might not have thought about before, what other authors are up to. It's just, I suppose, one of my very few social media platforms of choice. Which brings us to things like Twitter, X, whatever you like to call it. It's just not for me. It's I don't like the concision of whatever number of characters are, because if you want something more involved, you have to post a link, and then you got to click on that link and follow it somewhere, and it's very fussy, and I've spend so little time on there. As for Instagram, I used to love Instagram when it was just images because I'm a photographer and filmmaker as well as a writer. There was a simplicity to that, even just that square, that little square. And then you started seeing rectangles, and then you started seeing videos, and now it's just, it's all over the place. And those wonderful days of the simple square. Yeah, I got no interest in Instagram anymore. Discord. I want to like Discord because it just seems like what a wonderful way to sort of have these rather safe spaces, these curated. It's like a salon. It's this sort of curated community with an exchange of information. I just I I am baffled and frustrated by the interface, and it's like I have to reintroduce myself to what parts of it do what every time I go there, and so I don't spend a lot of time there. It's not very off-putting to me. YouTube is probably my favorite of all these sort of social media platforms because it encourages a longer form exchange of information, even though it's basically monologues. I suppose it's easier for me to click onto YouTube and kind of have it playing around and off in the background, even if it's just an audio file of somebody's podcast. Um, I just am exhausted with the idea of having a link for every different type of information. If it's going to be just an audio podcast that I'm having to click onto the website itself, or anyway. It's just the thing about social media is that you can't do all of it. You'll drive yourself crazy. Find the stuff that works for you. I have a little thing here. I mean, that's kind of my list, but I've got a little note here about concerning other authors. Um, and what I try to do is I try to support other local authors. I buy their works. I go to their book signings. Um, and there's this thing that I think I have to keep reminding myself to. It's just a mental health exercise, and it's going to lead into another point I want to make, and that is this: do not expect the writers that you like to like your work. Do not expect the writers who work you buy, the local writers who work you buy, to buy your work. Because if you start looking at things that way, I don't know, maybe some people like conflict in their life. I don't like conflict. And, let people be. It'd be great if people were to exchange that impulse that I have to support them, and they would support me. But I think there's a bigger thing that I'm coming to learn or sort of process that's similar to that, and it has to do with the people who read your work, the people that are your audiences, your readers. Don't expect your friends and your family to be in that group. They might politely support you and buy your work, and maybe even, stumble through it and say, "Yeah, I read it." You shouldn't make them feel they have to, because that's a lot of burden to put on someone. Um, so the idea is that, where are you going to find these readers if it's not just the network you already have of your friends and family? I don't know. That's the thing. I guess I know it in the abstract. this sort of theoretical way that you try to get your work out there. But once you get past that, I think, again, I need to remind myself, I'm talking about me. It took me a while to get past that. So I'm not feeling resentful of my family, my friends for not uh, swooning over every short story that I um, place in an online magazine, or every book that I finish. So that's just something that has helped me. I guess that's really all I have to say. I mean, your community as a writer are other writers, other creative people, people that might want to read your work, and it should be joyous. It should be fun. It should always be learning things and supporting one another. That should be the good part of it. That shouldn't be the painful, frustrating, humiliating aspect of the creative process. Your creative community should be where you go to for safety and solace. And yeah, and I feel I need to grow that community so I have more solace in my life. So this is an attempt here, I guess, to do so. Um, Sticking a camera in my face, talking on this microphone, to try to expand my community. So that's what you are right now, and let me know who you are so I can be part of your community. I think that's it. Thanks.